This is by far the biggest project I have ever worked on. Buckle up, grab some snacks, and sit back and enjoy as we talk about every Kanto Pokemon's most expensive card, starting with the big one, the first ever Pokemon to appear in the Pokedex, Bulbasaur. Bulbasaur is a fan favorite for many people watching this video today, and yet its most expensive card may surprise you. Now technically its most expensive card is the Pokemon Snap Contest Bulbasaur card. The problem is there actually hasn't been one of these sold that was ungraded, and since we don't talk about graded cards on this channel, the most expensive Bulbasaur is the Legendary Collection Reverse Holo, which sells for around $150 to $200. Ivysaur is next, and once again we have the Ivysaur found within the Legendary Collection, being the Reverse Holo version at around $150 to $200 again. And finally we can end the Frog Pokemon with the most expensive Venusaur card, in the base set Shadowless Venusaur, selling for anything up to $2,000. The whole Charmander line has had some super expensive cards, with the most expensive Charmander being the Japanese exclusive McDonald's 2002 promo at $400. As for Charmeleon, this card has a pretty spiteful backstory. To celebrate the release of Team Rocket, Wizards decided they would add a card with their own personal touch to it. Many people just assumed that Pokemon were responsible for these cards, and so Wizards largely got no credit for their effort in the TCG naturalizing in the West. However, this stamped card proves otherwise, a permanent legacy left behind by Wizards of the Coast, and this card can sell for around $250 today. Do I put Charizard at the end of the video for retention? I really thought about it, however after finishing the script, some of the other cards we have coming up are even more insane, and kind of just prove that Charizard isn't always worth the hype. The most expensive Charizard is the base set Shadowless Charizard, which can sell for anything up to $15,000 depending on condition, which means up next we have got Squirtle, with the most expensive Squirtle card being the McDonald's 2002 promotional Squirtle card found exclusively in Japan. This card is adorable and is one of my favorite Japanese exclusive cards, costing anything up to $1,000. Middle stage Pokemon are honestly kind of cursed, as even the first generation of Pokemon starters have not had amazing cards. Don't get me wrong, they are of course expensive, however the Dark Wartortle Reverse Holo from Legendary Collection really just doesn't stand out that much to me, despite costing up to $240. So let's end the starters with the big bad turtle himself, Blastoise, with the first edition Shadowless Holo Blastoise selling for around $1,500. And now things are going to start to get really interesting. Everyone knows the most expensive cards for the staples of the franchise, the starters, the legendaries, whatever, but I bet most people don't know the middle of the pack, starting with Caterpie. A lot of the cards that are going to feature throughout this video are going to come from the Legendary Collection, with the Reverse Holo Caterpie selling for $45. And this is of course once again the case for the Metapod card, which is also the Legendary Collection Reverse Holo for around $45 to $65. As for Butterfree though, it actually has two cards that both sell for around $70 to $80. Both the Legendary Collection Reverse Holo version, obviously, but also the regular Holo version found within the Expedition base set, with both of them selling for around the $80 to like $130 mark. Alright, back to Legendary Collection with the Reverse Holo version of Weedle, which sells for just slightly more than Caterpie at around $50. I promise that despite all of the cards coming out of the Legendary Collection throughout this video, there are some real hidden gems for some of the Pokemon coming up. Unfortunately, Kakuna is not one of them, with its most expensive card being the Reverse Holo from Legendary Collection at $45. Finally, a card not from the Legendary Collection. Beedrill's most expensive card actually comes out of Skyridge, and is this Holo Rare Beedrill card, which sells for around $150 to $225. But we cannot stay away from the Legendary Collection for long, as Pidgey's most expensive card once again can be found within it, the Reverse Holo Pidgey for $45. Surprisingly though, this is not the case for Pidgeotto. Pidgeotto has a little more clout than Pidgey and some of the other Pokemon so far thanks to Ash and the anime, and as such the most expensive Pidgeotto is the Shadowless base set Pidgeotto at around $55 to $60. Thankfully though, when it comes to Pidgeot, there is a different card as the most expensive. This is the Pidgeot EX Great Ball League promo. At the moment, Pidgeot EX is a very playable card thanks to its ability Quick Search. It became a staple in a lot of decks, primarily Charizard decks, and as such it was handed out as a promo at various Great Ball League events across Southeast Asia, with this card costing anything up to $450. Much like previous entries on today's list, Rattata actually has two cards that are around the same price point. As you guessed, the first one is the Holo found within the Legendary Collection. However, the second one is one of the newest fully released cards on the list today, the Pokemon Rumble Rattata, which recently has been climbing in price pretty quickly, with both of these cards selling for around $50 to $60. For the Alolan Rattata, we have the Rattata from the Japanese Pokemon Go set for $2. The Raticate Legendary Collection card is bizarrely expensive, costing around $75 to $100, which is in the upper echelon of Legendary Collection cards coming up today. We do also have the much more disappointing Alolan Raticate GX found in Celestial Storm for $5. I am surprised Spearow is not a more popular Pokemon within the Cantonian lineup. Despite being integral to Ash and Pikachu's friendship, friendship, Spearow just isn't that popular, with its most expensive card being the Legendary Collection Spearow for around $40. Gym Challenge and Gym Heroes did a pretty amazing job at adapting Pokemon that the trainers would have into trainers cards. However, Fearow may have the weirdest one yet. The Lieutenant Surge's Fearow. Does this dude just use this as some kind of sick target practice for his Raichu? We may never know. The Gym Heroes card sells for around $100 to $120. Ekans was not found in the Legendary Collection, and because of that we have our first stamped card next, with the Reverse Holo Team Rocket Returns stamped Ekans. This card makes so much sense, Jesse's Ekans was awesome for a long time, and giving it the stamp just works. This card sells for around $25. Remember the Charmeleon card from earlier that featured the Wizards of the Coast stamp? Well, this next card features the exact same stamp, the Dark Arbok found within Team Rocket. Now technically the most expensive Arbok would be the 4-position only error card, but given we do not count error cards on this channel in these videos, the most expensive Arbok is that Wizard stamped one at $50, which means we have the mascot now, the OG, the Pokemon with the most cards ever. Pikachu has received a grand total of around 300 cards since the Pokemon TCG first began. It's kind of crazy the number of cards Pikachu has received. We have tag teams, we have Stellar Terra EXs, we have Gold Star cards, and more promos than you can count. However, the most expensive of all of these is the Mario Pikachu, which can sell for around $8,000. The most expensive Raichu is the Shining Raichu found within Neo Destiny. In a first edition, this can cost anything up to $1,000. If the pre-release card ever comes to market though, that card will wipe the floor with this one. For the Alolan Raichu, we have the Raichu and Alolan Raichu GX tag team from Unified Minds for $450. Alright, we took a bit of a break, but now it's time to get back to the Legendary Collection with the Reverse Holo Sandshrew selling for anything up to $70. And then for the Alolan version, we have this McDonald's 2019 Alolan Sandshrew for $4. We almost had Sandslash appearing here with a Legendary Collection card too, but thankfully there is one card that just beats it. The stamped Dark Sandslash Reverse Holo found within Team Rocket Returns for $60. As for Alolan Sandslash, we have the Staff pre-release for Guardians Rising at about $20. My poor editor is probably so sick of hearing me say Legendary Collection throughout this video. I swear there are a lot of cards in this video that are not from the Legendary Collection. Unfortunately though, Nidoran Female is not one of them, with the Legendary Collection Reverse selling for $45. Conveniently, this is also the exact same card and price as the Nidorina, with the Legendary Collection Nidorina selling for $45 again. Thankfully though, Nidoqueen is not another Legendary Collection card, as the most expensive Nidoqueen card actually comes from Skyridge. Compared to Nidoking, it seems that Nidoqueen has not had that many good cards, as this card sells for anything up to $200. Right, let's get back to our Legendary Collection with the Nidoran found within, costing yet again around $45. And the Legendary Collection Reverse Holo Nidorino also joins this list, costing around $75. Legendary Collection must be incredibly popular with fans, and to be fair, they do have the best holo pattern of any cards. I want to apologize once again. In my most expensive card from every set video, I said that the Nidoking found within Aquapolis was the most expensive card in this set. This is not the case, however the Crystal Nidoking is the most expensive Nidoking, costing around $900 to $1,000. Recently, Clefairy has been getting a lot of love within the TCG thanks to its Lily Trainer card team-up. Clefairy was always popular, but recently that popularity has begun to skyrocket. The most expensive Clefairy card is actually a Sun and Moon Japanese promotional card featuring Lily. This card was given out to customers within Japan who bought booster boxes for the Dream League set at participating stores. The logo in the bottom corner of the artwork is actually the same as the logo for the set. This card has become really expensive recently, with it now costing anything up to $500. For the first time in today's video, we have got an official pre-release card, the Clefable pre-release from Jungle. Pokemon was incredibly popular back in the original series, and yet not that many people seem to have been able to grab this pre-release card. Nowadays, the card sells for up to $450. The last 3 cards have not been from Legendary Collection, and thankfully Vulpix will continue this role, as the most expensive Vulpix is the Sun and Moon Japanese exclusive promotional card. This card was given out within the Vulpix Crystal Season Special Box, alongside a regular Cantonian Vulpix as well. Both of these cards are really expensive, with the Alolan version selling for up to $230, and the Cantonian version selling for up to $150. Our streak continues as we head into Vulpix's Evolution Ninetales. The most expensive Ninetales is the first edition Shadowless base set Ninetales Holo, costing around $350. I'm starting to get a little bit fidgety without Legendary Collection. Don't get me wrong, I will always love the Legendary Collection cards, but I was really worried this video would be primarily Legendary Collection cards. Thankfully, the most expensive Jigglypuff card is the Mega Lopunny and Jigglypuff GX Ultimote, costing around $270. Surprisingly, Wigglytuff does not have that many expensive cards. You would think being a Pokemon from Generation 1 would guarantee at some point during the TCG history, it would have gotten one card that was particularly valuable, especially for a final stage Pokemon. The most expensive Wigglytuff is the Jungle First Edition Wigglytuff, costing around $100. This next Pokemon actually has quite an interesting circumstance behind its most expensive card. Or should I say, cards. Zubat has 2 cards that sell for around $50. both of the versions found within Skyridge, and their reverse holo cards. The reverse holo versions of these cards sell for around 50, and the regular versions also can sell for around 50, which is really confusing. The Skyridge trend continues with Golbat's most expensive card next, the reverse holo for around $60. I don't want to say anything too much about Legendary Collection, but we have now gone 10 cards without any cards from the Legendary Collection. Now obviously it will come back eventually, but not now, as Oddish's most expensive card is the reverse holo found within Aquapolis for $40. Aquapolis would also give us the most expensive Gloom card, the reverse holo for $30. Surprisingly though, the most expensive Vileplume card is not the one found within Aquapolis, although this one is still expensive. The most expensive Vileplume card is the Alternate Art GX found within Cosmic Eclipse, which featured Erica on the card as well. This card now sells for anything up to $100. I have no idea why we have so many Aquapolis cards at the moment, but I'm not mad at this. Aquapolis, Skyridge, and Expedition base set are some of the best sets ever released, and are incredibly rare, which is why so many of these cards come from these sets. The most expensive Paris card actually appeared within my weirdest card arts video as well, with the reverse holo Paris costing $20. Aquapolis may be the new Legendary Collection though, as the most expensive Parasect card I could find is the Aquapolis reverse holo for $30. It seems that Bug, Grass, and Poison type Pokemon all did really well within this miniature series of Pokemon cards, as Venonat's most expensive card would come from Skyridge, the reverse holo Venonat, which sells for around $35 today. Fun fact, despite being a Generation 1 Pokemon, Venomoth has only received 14 cards since 1995. That means that Venomoth gets a grand total of 1 card every 2 years, which is crazy for a Kanto Pokemon. The most expensive Venomoth card comes in the expansion sheet 2 for the Versus series, and is the Janine's Venomoth card, which sells for around $40. Number 50, we're a third of the way done, so I'm going to take a second to say if you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing and join my Discord for sneak peeks into future videos. And what better way to hit number 50 than by talking about my favorite type of card, the Rumble Diglett, which would cost you $60 today. The Alolan Diglett card is the McDonald's 2017 card for $4. We are now 18 cards deep without a Legendary Collection card. See, I told you they weren't all Legendary Collection cards. And this continues with Doug Trio, with the most expensive Doug Trio being the Dark Doug Trio First Edition from Team Rocket for around $100. As for Alolan Doug Trio, we have the alternate art found within Surging Sparks for about $7. Meowth has a weirdly expensive card at the top. The most expensive Meowth card is the Scarlet and Violet promotional Meowth card, although this is going to go down pretty quick now that Phantasmal Flames is out. This card was found as a promo card in Japan with the Generation Start decks. I reckon now that this card can be found in English, the price will start to go down. We also need to talk about 2 more Meowth cards. First, the Alolan version, with this Pokemon Card Gym stamped Meowth, that sells for about $10. And then we have the Galarian Meowth from the Shiny Vault and Shining Fates, which sells for like $5. As for Persian, this Pokemon was also pretty relevant within the anime and of course the first game. Giovanni and his Persian were so intimidating and scary to me as a kid, and this is probably why the Giovanni's Persian from Gym Challenge has become so expensive, costing around $150. We also have the Alolan Persian Rainbow Rare from Cosmic Eclipse for $15. I am glad that Psyduck gets a lot of love. Despite being a first stage Pokemon, this Pokemon has appeared in exclusive promos, tag teams, expensive sets as reverse holos, and of course the Legendary Collection. However, the most expensive Psyduck card that I could find is the Scream promotional Psyduck, which sells for anything up to $1,500. I have some pretty awful news. The 21 card streak without a Legendary Collection card is officially dead, as we have the Golduck Reverse Holo from Legendary Collection as the most expensive at $120. And unfortunately, it seems like we're gonna struggle to get back on track without Legendary Collection, as the most expensive Mankey card also comes from the Legendary Collection, costing up to $80. I am super surprised that Primate does not have a better card than the Reverse Holo found in Legendary Collection. The Reverse from the Legendary Collection wins at $60. We really are stuck back in Legendary Collection purgatory, as next we have the Reverse Holo found in the Legendary Collection for Growlithe, costing $150. We also have to talk about Hisuian Growlithe with the card found within Twilight Masquerade for $20. Thankfully though, we're not going to be stuck here for quite as long, as we have Arcanine next. Arcanine is one of my favourite Pokemon, and given it is the legendary Pokemon, it is safe to say why. Arcanine has the best qualities that every Pokemon needs. It is powerful, majestic, cool, and just an amazing design. And the most expensive Arcanine card is the first edition Light Arcanine found within Neo Destiny, costing up to $600. As for Hisuian Arcanine, we have the Hisuian Arcanine V Full Art found within Silver Tempest for $5. We are back to some of these slightly more boring cards for a bit, such as the Poliwag Reverse Holo found within Skyridge, costing $35. Then there is the Reverse Holo for Poliwhirl found within Skyridge at $60. For Poliwrath, we have yet another card coming from Skyridge, the Poliwrath Holo card. This card is actually really expensive, but luckily for Poliwrath fans, it is not actually that bad for such an old card, costing around $200. But it is back to Legendary Collection now with the Abra found there, which in a reverse holo would cost you about $110. The most expensive Kadabra card is the reverse holo from Legendary Collection, costing around $120, which of course brings us to Alakazam, the real victim of the Uri Geller lawsuit. Imagine how many cool Alakazam cards we could have got had this not gone through the way it did. I would have loved to see the state Alakazam cards would have been. Of course, the most expensive Alakazam card is the Alakazam Gold Star found within EX Crystal Guardians for anything up to $1,200. We are quickly approaching the halfway point, so let's jump through a lot of these cards coming up, such as the Legendary Collection Machop, which sells for around $70. Then we have the Machoke, where once again it is the Legendary Collection card for $80. Fun fact, did you know that the base set first edition Machamp is the most printed card in the history of the TCG? Seriously, you can buy this card pretty consistently at around 10 to 15 bucks because of just how common it actually is. The most expensive Machamp card is the Marshadow and Machamp GX Alternate Art, found within Unbroken Bonds for anything up to $350. Do people have some issue with Bellsprout that I do not know about? The Bellsprout Reverse Holo from Aquapolis is the most expensive, but even then it only sells for around $25. This trend also continues into Weepinbell, with the most expensive Weepinbell card being the Reverse Holo found within EX Legend Maker at around $15. Even the Holo Victory Bell from Aquapolis is not actually that expensive, selling for around $70, which is insanely low for such an old holo card. Back to Legendary Collection, where we have the Tentacool Reverse Holo, which sells for around $50. I am really surprised that some of the more generic holos from Aquapolis are not that expensive, as the most expensive Tentacool card is the Tentacool Holo found within Aquapolis, which only sells for like $100. The most expensive Geodude card has had me howling at a Discord call with my friends, as the most expensive Geodude card is technically not a Geodude at all. The most expensive Geodude card is the stamped Ditto disguised as a Geodude for $100. Now technically this is not a Geodude card, and the most expensive Geodude is the Legendary Collection Geodude, which sells for around $75. As for the Alolan version is the Team-Up Reverse Holo for $2. And of course the Graveler card is the Legendary Collection Reverse, which sells for $80. And then Alolan form for Graveler is the Reverse Holo from Crimson Invasion for $2 again. And that means with Golem we have crossed the halfway point for this video. We have a lot of expensive cards coming up, and things will only get crazier from here. Golem's most expensive card is the Crystal Golem found within Skyridge for anything up to $650. And then the Alolan Golem is the Rainbow Rare version of Alolan Golem EX found within the Japanese Awakened Heroes set for $15. We really have a lot of regional forms here, as up next we have Ponyta. The most expensive Ponyta card is the shiny version found within Platinum Arceus for $120. As for Galarian Ponyta, it is the shiny version of this form too, found in Shining Fates for $10. Rapidash's most expensive card is the Reverse Holo found in the Legendary Collection, which would cost you $110. As for the Galarian version, it is the Alternate Art V found within Chilling Reign for $70. I love how the later generations have expanded upon a lot of Generation 1 Pokemon. Earlier in the video we talked about the Psyduck and Slowpoke GX Tag Team card, which was not the most expensive card for Psyduck. Thankfully though, it is the most expensive card for Slowpoke, costing $350. As for Galarian Slowpoke, it's the Sword and Shield promo Slowpoke found within the Evolving Skies single pack blisters. And for Slowbro, we're back in the Legendary Collection with the awesome Dark Slowbro Reverse Holo, costing $120. And for Galarian Slowbro, it is the V card from Darkness Ablaze for $2. I've spoken a lot on the channel about how much I loved Magnemite as a child. I remember when Magnemite appeared in the episode where Ash caught his muck and was obsessed with Pikachu's static electricity. The most expensive Magnemite card is the Legendary Collection Reverse Holo for $80. We have not had that many cards from base set today. This was arguably the peak of Pokemon popularity when Pokemania was hitting the news and Playground rumors were circulating like a contagious virus, which is why a lot of the base set cards for the more standard Pokemon are not on the top of these lists. However, for Magneton this is not the case, as the most expensive Magneton is the base set first edition Holo Magneton for $300. I was writing the section for Farfetch'd when I suddenly remembered that Farfetch'd has a regional form, the Galarian Farfetch'd. Who would have thought that the little bird from Kanto would go on to get a hugely memorable regional form, especially within the Pokemon Journeys anime. The most expensive Galarian Farfetch'd is the version found in Shining Fates for like $2. However, the most expensive regular Farfetch'd is the regular Reverse Holo from Skyridge for anything up to $60. As for Doduo, we have the hidden mascot of the Pokemon franchise in the East making an appearance, Imakuni. The Imakuni's Doduo card found in the Japanese Challenge from the Darkness set is the most expensive card at around $50. If there's one thing this list has continued to show me, it's that we need another set like Legendary Collection. A lot of the cards throughout this video have been from Legendary Collection and are evidently very popular, with the Reverse Holo Doduo costing $90. And of course the Reverse Holo for Seal from Legendary Collection is the most expensive at $75. Thankfully though, Seal would get an awesome evolution in Dugong. I have used Dugong in a lot of different playthroughs, most recently in the Hidden Treasures of Area Zero DLC for Scarlet and Violet. The most expensive Dugong card is the Holo Dugong found within Skyridge for $200. As for Grimer though, it is back to Legendary Collection once again with the Reverse Holo Grimer costing $80. For the Alolan Grimer, it's the Reverse Holo found in Sun and Moon base for like $1. I do feel like some of the tag team values are a little bit inflated at the moment as people are trying to scrape as much as they can out of some of these cards. However, the Muck and Alolan Muck Tag Team GX is actually a pretty reasonable price, costing about $140, which is of course the same for both versions of Muck. For the first time in today's video, we have a card that could be found within the EX Fire Red and Leaf Green set, with the Shelder Reverse Holo found there at about $20. I'm really surprised there are not more cards in this list from that set. If you are the one fan out there of Cloyster, but this card may be the one you have to pick up. Cloyster does not appear to be that popular of a Pokemon, which is kind of surprising. Its most expensive card is selling for only like $90, and it is an old holo from Expedition base set. Did you know that Ghastly's Temporal Forces art rare has become really expensive in the last few months? It was once selling for $10, but now it goes for closer to $60. However, this is not Ghastly's most expensive card. I just thought it was interesting. Ghastly's most expensive card is the Reverse Holo from Legendary Collection for $140. As for Haunter, it once again is the Legendary Collection Reverse Holo for $210. And now we have the big dog, my favorite Pokemon by far. I love Gengar, and I think a lot of people will agree with me on this one. It is well designed. I remember getting my first Gengar in Platinum and being over the moon with this Pokemon. And the most expensive Gengar card is the Vending Japanese promo for up to $2,500. But it is back to Legendary Collection for Onix, whose most expensive card is the Reverse Holo for $75. And this continues with Drowsy, with this Reverse Holo selling for $80. And this is the most expensive Hypno card ever, costing up to $200. I was quite surprised that Krabby does not have a more expensive card. Honestly, the most expensive card I could find for this is a Reverse Holo found within EX Crystal Guardians, which you can find selling for like $15. As for Kingler, the most expensive card Kingler owns comes from the Expedition base set with the Holo Kingler that sells for around $70. You are about to be stunned by Voltorb's most expensive card. What better way to hit Pokemon 100? Pokemon has had a part of their Play Pokemon events that often gets a bit ignored when it comes to competitive Pokemon, the Professor Program. The Professor Program is a group of insanely knowledgeable Pokemon TCG fans who know everything about the T-competitive scene, and to thank them for their work and effort, they can get exclusive rewards like playmats and more. And one of the cards given out to these professors is this Reverse Holo Voltorb from Scarlet and Violet. Seriously, this card is barely 2 years old and already it sells for up to $2,500. As for Hisuian Voltorb, it's the Crown Zenith of Galeria Gallery version for $3. A pretty big difference between both forms. For the millionth time in this video, we have a card found within the Legendary Collection with the Reverse Electrode found within. This card is really cool and to be honest can constantly interchange with two other cards at the top, either the Electrode EX from Fire Red and Leaf Green or the Aquapolis Holo. At the moment though, the Legendary Collection card is at the top at around $100. As for Hisuian Electrode, it is the full art from Lost Origin for $4. Can someone please explain to me something in the comments? Why on earth did Execute get a shiny secret rare card within Plasma Blast? If you like collecting the shiny secret rare cards or just want a weird PCG history in your collection, then you should pick up this card at $80. I could see that card making sense if the Executor also had a secret rare within the set, but it didn't. The most expensive Executor is super interesting. This is the bilingual Executor card, which sells pretty consistently at around $205. This is one of the only cards ever printed as a bilingual card and has become really rare. And the Rowlet and Alolan Executor GX Tag Team alternate art also sells for around $200. For the first time in this video, and likely the last, we have a Chinese card as the most expensive card for one of these Pokemon. The Cubone art rare found in the Chinese Gem Pack free set. This card would set you back anything up to about $110 today. We now have only 46 Pokemon left. We have crossed the 100 Pokemon mark and are making our way to some of the most expensive cards on this list, such as the Dark Marowak Reverse Holo. Weirdly, the reverse seems to be more expensive than the regular Holo version, with this stamped card selling for $100. As for the Alolan Marowak, we have the Pokemon Card Gym stamped Marowak GX promo for $10. We have yet another early Pokemon pack card next with the Hitmonlee coming from the Fossil expansion. Fun fact, we have done 105 Pokemon so far in this video, and Hitmonlee is the first Pokemon with a card from Fossil, with the first edition Fossil Hitmonlee selling for $80. As for Hitmonchan, we have the base set first edition Shadowless Holo Hitmonchan for $350. Lickitung does not seem to be anyone's favourite Pokemon. I have never actually met a Lickitung fan, and that is probably why Lickitung's most expensive card is not even that expensive, with the Reverse Holo from Aquapolis selling for about $40. Once again, if you have watched this much of the video, make sure to subscribe. This script has taken me a long time to make, and I'm sure the editing is going to take my editor just as long. Let the editor know down below that you appreciate their work. For now though, the most expensive Coughing card is the Vending Series 2 Coughing exclusive to Japan, which sells for around $50, closely followed by the Cosmic Eclipse alternate art, which sells for around the same amount at $45. As for Weezing, we are heading back to the Japanese version of Expedition base set, with the Weezing found there that sells for around $80 to $110. We are about to begin our Safari Zone Gauntlet, but first we have to talk about Rhyhorn, whose most expensive card is the Reverse Holo from the Legendary Collection for $60. Rhydon was the first Pokemon ever designed, and it's pretty easy to tell. This Pokemon was an awesome beginning for the Pokemon design team, and sets up a lot of design fundamentals that Pokemon still use to this day. The most expensive Rhydon card is the Rhydon Holo found in Skyridge for anything up to $250. We're once again going back to base set, where we have this Chansey Holo first edition card, which sells for a lot of money. Chansey was super popular because of the anime, and as such the card now sells for $350. There are some of the best Pokemon found within Kanto coming up, but I think a lot of Pokemon fans tend to forget that Tangela originated in Kanto. Tangela was just kind of forgettable until it got the Tangrowth evolution, and the most expensive Tangela card is the Toys R Us stamped Tangela for $50. We have finally reached the newest card of this video, a card that literally came out a set ago, the Mega Kangaskhan EX SIR. I was super surprised that this was the most expensive Kangaskhan out there. Now, technically, the most expensive is the Parent and Child Tournament promo, which is quite literally priceless, and so finding a price could be a challenge. I could not find any sales of this card that weren't PSA graded, and I like to avoid PSA graded cards in these videos. This card in a PSA 10 sold for $175,000, but if you wanted a card that you could realistically find, it is the SIR Mega Kangaskhan card, which sells for around $80. Once again, we have a Pokemon that have two cards that are incredibly similar in price, so picking one from the two is very hard. Horsey has received both a Reverse Holo in Aquapolis and a Reverse Holo within T Returns, with both of these cards selling for $20 on average. As for Seadra, the most expensive card I could find is the first edition Misty Holo from Gym Heroes, which sells for around $80. This card also had a pre-release version that can sometimes sell for around the same amount. Goldeen is an incredibly disappointing Pokemon. Its most expensive card is the Reverse Holo found within Aquapolis for like $15, which is insanely low for a Gen 1 Pokemon. Unfortunately, Seaking does not get much better, as Seaking's most expensive card is the Reverse Holo also found in Aquapolis for $20. We have 32 Pokemon left, and now we have to talk about Staryu. The most expensive Staryu card is the Reverse Holo from Skyridge for around $40. Why do people hate the new design for Mega Starmie? I personally feel that it is one of the funniest Megas we have ever. Not every Mega has to transform a Pokemon into this edgelord cool Pokemon. Sometimes they can just be kind of funny. And Starmie's most expensive card is the Starmie Holo from Skyridge for about $300. Mr. Mime is a bit of a weird Pokemon within Kanto. It does not really seem all that useful, but in the anime he became a weird father for Ash, I guess? Kinda weird if you ask me. Despite anime popularity, Mr. Mime's most expensive card is not that bad. Coming from EX Fire Red and Leaf Green, we have the Mr. Mime EX, which sells for up to $100. As for Galarian Mr. Mime, it is the shiny version found within Shining Fates for $3. I love Cypher. I remember in Johto where you had the bug catching competition and you had a chance to get Scyther. I love Cypher since this, and Sizzle just made this iconic Pokemon even cooler. And the most expensive Cypher card is the Rocket Scyther EX from Team Rocket Returns for $350. I don't want to spend that much time on Jinx, the Pokemon just kind of weirds me out. Jinx's most expensive card is the Reverse Holo from Legendary Collection for $100. Electabuzz is up there amongst some of my favourite Pokemon ever. I love electric types, and Electabuzz evolves into my favourite electric type out there, Electivire. But it would take a couple more generations to get this evolution. During the Kanto days, the most expensive Electabuzz is the first edition Lieutenant Surge's Electabuzz for Gym Heroes for $100. For the first time in today's video, we have a card found within EX Ruby and Sapphire. I'm kinda surprised that a Gen 1 Pokemon's most expensive card is found within the base set for Generation 3, but this Magmar EX is super cool and would cost you around $45. I may have to buy this card soon. Pinsir always needed a partner, and the introduction of Heracross created a duo pretty close to Electabuzz and Magmar, with the most expensive Pinsir card coming from Jungle, with the first edition Holo Rare Pinsir for $70. Once again, we have another Pokemon that we have to talk about two cards for. Tauros. The Cantonian form of Tauros' most expensive card is the Tauros found within the Legendary Collection, which will cost you about $80. As for Paldean Tauros, it is the art rare found in Paldea Evolved for $15. Magikarp is really hard once again to find prices. There are so many different cards that sell for insane amounts of money. So instead of taking the leap, I'm going to talk about all three that I think are the most expensive. First, we have the Tamamushi University Prize Magikarp that doesn't have any recent sales to take a price from. Then we have the Shining Magikarp that sells normally for up to $1,200. Then we have the Magikarp of Wailord Tag Team Alternate Art, which sells for, again, around $1,000. They're all pretty close in price, but if I had to guess, I would say the Tamamushi Magikarp is the most expensive. As for Gyarados, we have my favourite card found in Holon Phantom, the Gold Star Gyarados, for anything up to $2,000. And now we are really starting to get to the big boys, as next we have Lapras, whose most expensive card is the Reverse Holo found in Skyridge, which sells for around $140. The first edition version found in Fossil also sells for around this too, but if not a little bit less. We're about to hit the evolutions, but first we have to talk about Ditto, whose most expensive card is technically a Squirtle card. This is the 2007 Games Expo Ditto card that contains a little stamp in the bottom corner. This card sells for around $500 to $600. Now, I don't think a lot of people watching this are gonna believe that the most expensive EV card is actually a Japanese exclusive. The card was released from April to December 2000. In order to get this card, you would have had to earn 500 GET points by purchasing products in Japan. This card would cost you a lot of money today, and I can't even really find any recent sales of it. The closest one I could find it was selling for $4,000. But we're not done with the evolutions yet, as we make our way back into EX Power Keepers, where the original Eevee trio can be found in their shiny Gold Star forms. Starting with Vaporeon. Vaporeon is one of the most well-known evolutions for a multitude of reasons, and this card really captures just how cool Vaporeon can actually be. This card is a bit tough to pinpoint the price from, although some of them have sold for $650, whereas some have sold for closer to $1,500. It really depends on the quality of the card as to how much it will sell for. However, despite Vaporeon's popularity, my favourite evolution has always and will always be Jolteon. I don't know why, but as a kid I just had a real affinity for Jolteon. I loved electric types, and an electric type evolution really just made my day. The Jolteon Gold Star actually makes me so sad with how cheap it is now. Whether Vaporeon could get up to around $1,500, I couldn't find a single non-graded Jolteon for more than $1,000, with most of them sitting between $450 and $800. Which brings us to the final evolution, Flareon. I feel like none of these cards really miss. They're all expertly designed, and this unique design has gone on to make the Gold Stars as a whole some of the most sought after cards, and the Gold Star Flareon tends to sit at just above the price of Jolteon, between $500 and $1,000. Similarly to the Eevee card from earlier, next we have the Porygon card found within the same promotion, except it would cost you more points to get. This Porygon would cost you 700 points, whereas the Eevee would have costed you 500, and this Porygon can sell today for up to $1,500. Right back to Legendary Collection, where we have the Omanite Reverse Holo, which will cost you $65. As for Omastar, we once again have a Japanese vending exclusive card with the Masaki promo Omastar card that would cost you up to $300. Back to Legendary Collection again for the Reverse Holo for Kabuto, which sells for up to $80. I was quite surprised that Kabutops has had so many expensive cards, especially at the beginning of the TCG. I do not really remember the earlier days of Pokemon and have no idea why Kabutops was popular enough to get a Shining card and a Crystal card. And this Crystal card is the most expensive at about $1,000, although the Shining card can sell for about the same. We have 10 cards left. This video took me about 10 hours to just script alone, and I'm sure it will take my editor 20 more to make it. So if you did enjoy this video, please let us know down below. Also, let me know what cards I have missed. The most expensive Aerodactyl card is the Aerodactyl V Alternate Art, which sells for up to $220. Snorlax is one of the best Pokemon found within Generation 1. This dude has been relevant throughout multiple generations, making a comeback in Generation 6, sleeping on a random bridge in France. And the most expensive card for Snorlax I could find was the Rocket Snorlax EX, found within Team Rocket Returns for around $1,000. And now we have the big boys, the legendary Pokemon, the Pseudos, and of course, the mythical Mew. But first, I have to right some wrongs. In my most expensive card for every legendary video, I mistakenly read that the Stained Glass Bird was the most expensive card for the legendary birds. I accidentally read the PSA 10 price, so let's fix that. The most expensive Articuno card is the Holo Articuno found within Skyridge for about $450. And for Galarian Articuno, it is the Galarian Articuno V Alternate Art from Chilling Reign for about $100. As for Zapdos, the most expensive Zapdos card is the first edition base set Shadowless Zapdos for around $500, with the Galarian Zapdos being the alternate art found in Chilling Reign again for $100. And finally we have Moltres. The most expensive Moltres card is the Rocket Moltres EX from Team Rocket Returns for $400. And then the Galarian Moltres is the alternate art version found in Chilling Reign for $350, which means we are at the first ever pseudo legendary. The original, the one to start it all, the most expensive card Dratini has is the Reverse Holo from Legendary Collection at $100. As for Dragonair, we have the Dark Dragonair Reverse Holo card found in the Legendary Collection at around $125 to $150. Dragonite was such a magical Pokemon when I was growing up, especially with the Pokemon Lighthouse episode of the anime. This dude was so awesome, and it has been just as awesome throughout the history of the TCG, with the most expensive Dragonite card being this promotional Dragonite card that was given out as part of the Pokemon Card Trainers magazine in November 2002. This card is a bit hard to find a price for, but I found one listing that sold for $1,000. I cannot confirm how accurate this is though. And so we have the last two, Mewtwo and Mew. So let's start with Mewtwo. I love Mewtwo and have said on numerous occasions that Mewtwo might be my favourite legendary Pokemon out there. Something about its design, story, and just overall coolness really hit me as a kid, especially in the first Pokemon movie. And the most expensive Mewtwo is both the Shining Mewtwo from Neo Destiny and the Gold Star Mewtwo from Hollow Phantom. Seriously, both of these cards are selling for around $2,200 today, which is kinda crazy. And finally, that brings us to the last Pokemon in this video, Mew, the mascot of our entire channel and one of my favourite Pokemon of all time. Mew has a lot of expensive cards. The Gold Star from Dragon Frontiers for $1,000, the Shining Mew from Korokoro for $600. However, the most expensive Mew card of all time is the relatively new Chinese Scarlet and Violet promo from Mew EX. This card is one of the only Pokemon cards ever to be released in a lottery format, where each month on the 15th between March and December 2025, you had a chance to earn this card. However, the entry requirements were brutal. Firstly, you had to have entered 15 organised competitive events across China in at least 3 different gyms or venues, and you had to do this within 151 days prior to each lottery day. Every lottery drew 151 winners with a total of 1,510 cards across the entire year. This is probably the most exclusive Pokemon card ever created that has seen a pretty big release. And nowadays, if you bought it, you would have to be ready to spend up to $12,000. And I know I don't talk about graded prices on this channel, but if you wanted to get this in a Beckett Black Label grade, it would cost you up to $125,000. Thank you very much for watching this video. I know I probably got some of these wrong, so please correct me down below if that's the case. All of these prices were cross-referenced between TCG Player, eBay, and price charting, and it took me a long time to do all this. If you did enjoy this video, please let me know down below, and I would really appreciate it if you guys did subscribe. This channel has grown so much, so quickly, and I'm just so grateful for all the support. I genuinely can't explain it. I'll make a YouTube post recently about the situation I was in, but you guys are the best. I love you guys. Thank you very much.